Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, every Yankee fan recognizes 161st Street and River Avenue, and you might have seen this particular shirt being worn by Yankee fans. My next guest is the man behind them. His name is Mike. He's the founder of SubwayTileShirts, and he's going to join us to discuss how he got the company started, how it's grown in success, and where it's headed. So let's bring him on. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, James, good to see you today.
Thanks for coming on. Now, it's Mike Orrick of SubwayTileShirts, and people can follow you on Instagram at SubwayTileShirts, as well as on Twitter at SubwayTileShirt without the S at the end, but that's okay. But again, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today, James. It's been long overdue to get on here and talk to you, so I'm excited that we could schedule the time.
Yeah. Now, I'm gonna give you a little backstory. For, obviously, people probably don't know. Me and Mike, we used to work together several years ago. Stayed in touch, and I remember one day you kind of like texted me out of the blue. You're like, "Hey, what are some good subway stops in the Bronx?" And I threw out some suggestions, and then didn't think everything. I think like a few months later, all of a sudden I get this very shirt, 161 Riviera Avenue, obviously Yankee Stadium, in the mail. I was like, "Whoa, wow, great!" And then of course, when I started this Section 420 Talkin Yankees show, I was like, "Yeah, what do I want to do for a shirt? I don't want the typical Yankee, NY, something typical." So I was like, "Hey, you know what? Let me do something unique. Let me use the 161 shirt," and kind of been doing that since. So it's an honor to be wearing again one of your Subway Tile shirts.
Yeah, it's always one of the things I learned quickly from working with you, James, was that you certainly are a native and good, resourceful New Yorker. So of course, when I got things started, you were one of the minds that I went to early to get your opinions on the hot stops, if you will, and anything that you could provide of knowledge, having been born and raised in the city. So it was a unique opportunity to be able to talk to you and get your opinion. And of course, feedback from native New Yorkers is always welcome.
Probably if you're a New York fan, whether it's the Rangers or the Knicks or the Garden, you maybe saw one of Mike's Madison Square Garden shirts. If you've gone to Yankee Stadium, you probably saw one of these shirts. And now if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, you might have saw one of the Atlantic Avenue shirts. So obviously, these are the official Subway Tile logos. So it's not like, some reprint. I mean, this is officially licensed by the MTA. So first of all, when did you get the idea to even start this? And what was kind of the process to, get the official license and from the MTA Mass Transit Association?
So the idea came about, I'd say, 7-ish years ago. Riding the subway every day. It's one of those things where you're normally, I'd say, kind of in a zone once you get on the train. I'd say the traditional path is to put your head down and, whether you're listening to music, you have a book, or whatever activity you're kind of getting into by yourself. So it's one of those things, I think, that was passed by so many people, but as so much of the city you find on T-shirts, it was one of those things where I kept seeing the signs and all the other artwork throughout the subway and wondered, I guess, why they hadn't been on shirts yet. So reached out to the MTA and presented the idea to them. And, one of the things that I wanted to do from the beginning was with all love to the I Love New York brand, we wanted to separate it a little bit and make it something that was a higher quality product and something that was a little more neighborhood and brand representative to those neighborhoods. So that was something that the MTA was incredibly welcome to. They are always liking creative ways in which people can work with them and utilize the resources that are there. So that was something that we were really excited about heading into it. And it's been a interesting experience growing and learning, I guess, through those early days.
I mean, you have, all these, different shirts and different boroughs you release at a time, but do you have any sort of like method or pecking order of how you determine which stops you want to release or which ones you want to put out there? Or is it all just like random?
So it's certainly something where we've gone with a lot of, initially it was the more well-recognized stops. Yankee Stadium, as you have on Bleecker Street, Madison Square Garden, of course, Grand Central, Bowery, some of our favorites. I can ramble, I can go on. And that was something where, of course, from a brand standpoint, we want to get out there and get the name recognized. So we came out with some of the more well-recognized ones. From there, it's been, I don't want to say trial and error, but it's been a little bit of throwing out some stops and seeing what takes. And then also one of the benefits that you have from being a brand now is listening to everybody on social media. whether it's positive or negative, everybody's able to voice their opinion. And one of the things that we've been incredibly grateful for is people letting us know what they'd like to see. One of the things, that I can say right off the bat was, as you can see the Queen's shirt up there, unfortunately, there wasn't an existing mosaic out at Citi Field. So we had to come up with a little bit of creativity on that one. It's been well received so far, but that's been one of the things that we've been most appreciative of, is being able to listen to what people have to say and get their feedback on it. There's as I've always said, there's if you put 100 people in a room and ask for all their 10 favorite stops that they'd like to see, you're going to get 100 different answers, and every one of them is worthy of going into production. So it's been a little bit tricky in trying to, of course, you'll never be able to make everybody happy, but trying to find the happy medium of listening to what everyone has to say, getting some of the popular stops out there. And then, of course, we got to run a business. So we got to make sure that they're going to be shirts that people are going to want to buy, as opposed to just wanting to see. So.
And is there a particular shirt maybe that's like most popular, you get the, most people buy it, or you just get the most positive feedback on?
Yeah, it's I'd say our top 5 are Yankee Stadium, of course, as you have on, Bleecker Street, as I have on today, Madison Square Garden. The Knicks are about to get into the playoffs, so we're excited about that one, of course. Brooklyn, the standalone mosaic, that's a fun one, because that is not a station. That's one of the directional signs within the city. So that's found out at the Greenpoint station. So the Brooklyn standalone certainly is one of the more popular ones. And what else would I say is most popular? We'll say Bowery out there. Certainly one of my favorites. It's one of the more historic ones. And that's been one of the top sellers as well.
Now on the production side, obviously, I'm assuming all right, so you have to get like an official print or JPEG or something of the image of the shop, and then you kind of get that printed on the shirt. Like, how does the actual physical process work?
So it's been we've had some learning. I'd say I've had some learning curves on this one. To start with, it's been taking a picture of the actual mosaic on the wall. From that, initially when we started, the process that we had used was a screen printing process. With the screen printing process, there's layers of the different colors that go on top of each other. One of the challenges that we had was using, because there's so many fine tiles, as on your shirt, that's actually on the image. We were having some production challenges on that side of it. So we've had to, fine tune, if you will, the production process. And right now, the way that we're going about it, and certainly having to adapt over the past, I'd say, year and a half with working through, ability to work with other production facilities, I guess, if you will, with the coronavirus and the shutdown. So what we're doing right now is a process called direct to garment with screen printed transfers. And it's enabling us an ability to grow at a better rate than we had, and also kind of accommodate to what had been a challenging year and a half, as everybody has had to kind of adapt in whatever way that they could. This was something that we found to be a sustainable production method that works with what we're trying to put out there. And then, of course, an ability to have a production method that enables our shirts to come out at a higher rate of non-error, if you will.
And again, it's just beyond this t-shirts. Again, you make hoodies, you make, I guess the quarter, I think they call it raglifts. What's the
Yeah, for sure. So the raglins, the 3/4 sleeves, baseball tees, as a lot of people call them as well. That's something that we've done for a couple of shirts. Right now we have, Madison Square Garden, then of course Yankee Stadium as well for the 3/4 sleeves, Brooklyn as well. So that's been a fun one. T-shirts, hoodies, tote bags, We have apparel for smaller humans as well, for kids, and then we're getting ready to introduce stickers as well. But for the most part, it's your traditional apparel. It's our bread and butter is our bread and butter for sure is the t-shirts and the hoodies.
And for specifically the 161 River Avenue shirt, obviously, you know me. I'm sure you've had some relationships with some other Yankee fans. I mean, did you connect with any fans, whether they came to you or somehow they just said, hey, where'd that shirt come from, or whatever? You just met with them like online, social media, and just connected with them. Anyone really stand out?
Yeah, totally. There's two that come to mind right off the bat. Again, as you mentioned, social media is huge. The ability to connect with people and introduce ideas to people now is much more attainable than it's ever been. So I'd say the two that come to mind, and one of them's has been amazing. Just kind of I would say in representing, in rocking the t-shirts and understanding from a brand what we're trying to do. The two that come to mind, I'd say, is Jerry Ferrara is one. He embraced what we were trying to do early on. And so he's been awesome, Yankee fan and certainly a Knick fan. Know how excited he is right now. So in terms of, he had come through, we had a pop-up at Rothman's down in Union Square, which was great. So Jerry's been awesome over the years in terms of wearing the shirts and representing Subway Tile Shirts. And then, from a selfish standpoint, one of the fun ones that put a smile on my face was Nick Swisher, ex-Yankees great, and I know he's still working with the team as well. His I guess attitude towards the game was always something that I enjoyed being a sports fan. So watching him come up through the A's and then of course giving his time at the Yankees as well. So those are the two I'd say that come to mind off the top. They're two guys whose professional careers have been exciting to watch. And then they're also good people. There's a lot of folks out there that are doing their thing. And when you get to come across guys like that who are celebrities and recognizable names, it's pretty cool when you get to chat with them and they're good people. And so big shout out to Jerry and Swish for representing the shirts as well. So.
Yeah, and funny with Swisher, when he came to the Yankees, I think they traded from the White Sox. Initially, he was supposed to be the first baseman, but that's when I guess the Yankees kind of outbidded Boston and got Mark Teixeira, so they just put Swisher out in right field. But he kind of loosened up the clubhouse too as well. So the years before that were kind of tight with some of the end of the Joe Torre years, and Swisher kind of lightened up the clubhouse a little bit. So a lot of Yankee fans adore Swisher. Even though maybe his last year wasn't the greatest, but still, just overall, he's definitely one of the beloved Yankees in recent history.
I think the way it was kind of looked at, I'd say perhaps not just the way I looked at it, but the way a lot of people looked at it was, the Yankees have a certain way of running their team. They have a certain way of running their clubhouse. They run it pretty tight. It's a very professional environment, and it's worked out pretty well. And Swisher has, I'd say, a little bit more. And I'm thinking again, back to his early days back in Oakland, he's got a little bit more of that laid back kind of California vibe. And sometimes when you have an environment that's kind of tight and professional, it's good to have somebody in there who can loosen everybody up. I don't want to talk like I was in the clubhouse. I certainly wasn't, but just from a perception from outside of those walls, he's always come across as a guy who certainly takes the game seriously, but understands that there's an ability to smile while you're doing it. If you get wrapped up in the professionalism of it, sometimes it can get you a little tight. So it's good to have somebody in there that can kind of keep you loose.
And now you mentioned Rothman's before. Any other? I mean, have you tried to make any inroads, like whether it's Madison Square Garden or Yankee Stadium, to get them to carry your product?
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Madison Square Garden and Yankee Stadium. Certainly love to work with you both. It's been, clearly those are two, I'd say New York City landmarks beyond just arenas. Madison Square Garden is the greatest arena on earth, as it's well known, and then of course the stadium. There's certainly challenges out there in terms of being able to work with businesses like that, because that's certainly what they are. And I would leave it as an open invitation to either one. that we would love to work with you.
Yeah, because I mean, I've gone in there, and they have similar types of shirts in terms of the style, what they're trying to do, but obviously none have the quality of this. So again, if they open up their minds, I think, and they could probably charge whatever, and because Yankees saying people just buy it, it would be beneficial. But hey, there is now one borough. I don't think I've seen anything you do anything from that Staten Island. Do you have any Staten Island plans? They had that one monorail trolley, so there is a possibility.
Yeah, so all love to Staten Island, and apologies that we haven't been able to give you the appropriate love. You're certainly one of the 5 boroughs. Our what we do, what Subway Tile Shirts is printing the existing mosaics from stations or some adaptation of that onto apparel. So as Staten Island. From what we've seen so far, if there's anybody out there that can show us otherwise, from what we've seen so far, without having existing tile mosaic there, that's been our biggest challenge. But again, as we're super open-minded to wanting to work with people, and New York City based is always is preferred without a doubt. If anybody has some ideas and would like to work with us, local artists or whatever it may be, please let us know, because as a brand that wants to represent New York City, it's something where Staten Island is a part of that, and we certainly know that. So,
yeah, and again, people can connect with you on Instagram at SubwayTileShirts. Again, to maybe hit you up about that and show you a picture. Hey, there's this thing exists, and maybe that gets things going. But in terms of the other apparel, anything planning maybe with jackets or sneakers, or is that's too too many moving parts to put the product on?
One of the things about the product that we have, I guess, if you will, on all the stations is that there's so many opportunity to release more stations. And so one of the things that we want to focus on, I guess where I'm going is we would rather focus on giving more love to what the people are looking for, giving more love to more stations, as opposed to branching out into products that, as you mentioned, are a little more challenging. Shoes, jackets, things along that line. We'd rather have a broader line of t-shirts, reaching out more into the boroughs, Staten Island, as you had mentioned, other creative ways that we can present the tile as well. For any artists out there, again, let us know anything you got in mind. And so I think that's kind of where we'd look, is to broaden out the product line as opposed to broadening out, or I guess broadening out the existing products we have as opposed to broadening out, well, you know where I'm going with that one. So more stations as opposed to more, different a variety of apparel, I guess.
Gotcha. No, that's a good way to sum it up. So when you're producing these shirts, obviously, how do you determine how many need of each and how many sizes? Obviously, you don't want to overproduce where you have all these shirts you're not able to sell. But then again, you don't want to underproduce where they're all gone in a few weeks, and now you're all backed up and you got to wait another month to get another order in. So what's that happy medium?
Right. So there's 2 answers on that one, right? First is what we had tried, as I had alluded to earlier, in terms of screen printing. Initially, when we started, we were screen printing. And so one of the things with screen printers is that there's always minimums. And then, of course, there were certainly challenges with printing ours. So we had to make it worth everyone's time in the sense of increasing our minimums. That handcuffed, that was what I was alluding to earlier in the respects of being able to expand as we wanted to, and handcuffing our ability to introduce new stops. As we have transitioned from that over to our new production process, we are much more able to cater to having to, much more able to not have to hold inventory. One of our, because of the production method used, we're able to do more of smaller production counts. And so that's one of the things that was a learning curve for us. And I guess certainly has helped us as a brand hold less inventory, which helps with the overhead and all the costs. And then also be able to introduce more stops as well, because we don't have as much money tied into the inventory, which, as you mentioned, can sometimes be gone in 2 days, or can sometimes be holding for weeks or months or longer, as many brands know.
Gotcha. And again, you mentioned the Rothman's location, but I guess most of your business is mail based. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. We are, first I'll answer that one because you had mentioned Rothman's, huge shout out to Rothman's in Union Square. They have other locations in Scarsdale and Bronxville as well. But, we've worked with Ken and Jim Gidden over at Rothman's. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Can't thank both of those guys enough, and their family, their team within them. They've been incredibly helpful in terms of Subway Tile Shirts growth and learning about an industry that's something I didn't have a lot of experience in, and they have decades of it. So being able to have our product in their our product in their store has been an honor. Was an honor, and something that has been incredibly helpful to our ability to establish a presence in New York City, help out any customers, and then, from an educational standpoint as well. So with all love to Rothman's as well, the majority of our business is online. SubwayTileShirts.com is where we have everything. And between our ability to promote on social media and then also everybody else's, organic growth as well, that's been something that's been working out really, really well for us. So.
All right. And in terms of the Queens, I guess it meant isn't the mosaic, but do you know who my counterpart is for the Met fan? Like who my counterpart is? I'm trying to find him.
Who your counterpart is?
Yeah.
The first name that comes to mind, I'll give a shout out to the 7-Line Army. I know that they are certain, Darren Meenan over there has certainly done an incredible job as a brand, he's, all up to those, he's rocked our shirts before, all up to those guys. It's great to see them back, getting back into the stadium as well. But I don't know, Zeiss, we should probably figure that out for you.
I know. Like I want to find out who that person is. They have him on the show next time there's a Subway series, just to have a little back and forth Subway tile banter.
Yeah, totally, man. I can't support that enough. I could, I'd be happy to outfit you guys and get you ready to talk some shop. One of the things I think that New York City is being blessed with right now, which is great to see from multi-level standpoints, is that the sports teams are doing well. The Knicks and the Nets are in the playoffs right now. Everybody knows how excited Knicks fans are. And the Nets, of course, there's a lot of expectations for them. And then for the Mets and the Yankees, there's a lot of excitement. Steve Cohen's out there spending some money on the Mets. They got a lot of I'd say young talent, and then also some veterans there. And then of course, the Yankees doing their thing. So I would say that someone out there is certainly going to be hopefully speaking up soon, because I know that New York City is proud of their teams, and I've heard a lot of chatter out there so far. So
it's been a long time coming, because usually it was just the Yankees and everyone else was kind of asleep. So now the last time I saw you physically was at a Yankee game. I think it might have been against the Twins, and then Gary Sanchez hits a 3-run home run as a walk-off. So for me, I think you're like a good luck Yankee charm. So I don't know. I think maybe we should go to the game like right away.
I can't support that enough, Zeiss. I've been anxious to get, as everybody, right? Been anxious to get out into the world again. I've met all my expectations from a medical standpoint, and I can't wait. So, you don't have to ask me twice. And if it's one of those things, like maybe I'd say in the best interest of making sure that all the New York sports teams can continue to excel. If I'm a good luck charm, then maybe we can counter that with getting out to Citi Field and going to a Mets game as well. It'd be fun to see both of those guys at the end of both those squads at the end of the year. That'd be a really cool New York City story. I think anybody would that. So
If I go to City Field, though, I gotta rock this though. I can't go in any Met gear. So, Mike, again, appreciate you coming on. Again, people can follow you on Instagram, Subway Tile Shirts, and of course the Twitter as well, Subway Tile Shirt. Check out the website as well. Again, any New Yorker, you're gonna find a Subway station or stop popping that you like. And thanks, I appreciate you joining us.
Thanks again, James. Good talking with you, and glad we could catch up. Look forward to seeing you soon, and you know, hopefully we'll catch a Yankees victory and catch a Mets win as well.